I don't know if I believe in God anymore. I probably haven't since the night my sister disappeared. She was standing right in front of the church, just waiting a few minutes for me. I'd only stopped at the corner store to buy a loaf of bread. When I got back, there were only her white shoes sitting on the cold stone steps. A strange handwritten note was tucked under a shoelace, a bizarre message left in her place. When the light is gone, look to the darkness. There, I am still watching. 10 years passed. No news, no explanation, no goodbye. Just silence. A murderous, suffocating silence. I thought I had learned to live with the void she left behind, until one morning in early autumn, I walked into my office at the newspaper and found a plain brown envelope sitting in the center of my desk. No one knew who sent it. No one saw who delivered it. Inside was a photograph. My hands trembled, my heart seized. It was Anna, my sister. I hadn't seen her face in a decade, but I could never mistake those eyes. That same gaze, the same small birthmark just below her left eyelid. But she was standing somewhere else, in a forest. Behind her, a wooden hourglass, and beneath the photo, 3 words. She misses you. I wept like a child. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't hopeful. I was empty. And below the photo was a set of GPS coordinates. They led to the abandoned St. Helena's Church, the very place Anna had vanished. I went there that night, armed with a flashlight, a gun, and a grief I thought I had long since buried. But what I found wasn't her. It was a box. Inside were letters, handwritten copies, line for line, of the infamous Zodiac killer's coded messages. But I knew one thing for certain. The originals of these particular letters had never been made public. Someone, or something, was replaying an old nightmare, but with a new script, a more twisted version, one that bore the marks of ritual, of a game, of a mockery of justice. The police called him the Ghost, but I knew he wasn't a ghost. He was the lingering hand of a bygone evil, writing a new chapter in the fresh blood of the innocent. And me, I was no longer a journalist. I was a witness. I was the last survivor, the only one he had allowed to live to tell this story. Powerful, authoritative, restrained intensity. I don't know if I believe in God anymore. I probably haven't since the night my sister disappeared. She was standing right in front of the church, just waiting a few minutes for me. I'd only stopped at the corner store to buy a loaf of bread. When I got back, there were only her white shoes sitting on the cold stone steps. A strange handwritten note was tucked under a shoelace, a bizarre message left in her place. When the light is gone, look to the darkness. There, I am still watching. 10 years passed. No news, no explanation, no goodbye. Just silence. A murderous, suffocating silence. I thought I had learned to live with the void she left behind, until one morning in early autumn, I walked into my office at the newspaper and found a plain brown envelope sitting in the center of my desk. No one knew who sent it. No one saw who delivered it. Inside was a photograph. My hands trembled, my heart seized. It was Anna, my sister. I hadn't seen her face in a decade, but I could never mistake those eyes. That same gaze, the same small birthmark just below her left eyelid. But she was standing somewhere else, in a forest. Behind her, a wooden hourglass, and beneath the photo, 3 words. She misses you. I wept like a child. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't hopeful. I was empty. And below the photo was a set of GPS coordinates. They led to the abandoned St. Helena's Church, the very place Anna had vanished. I went there that night, armed with a flashlight, a gun, and a grief I thought I had long since buried. But what I found wasn't her. It was a box. Inside were letters, handwritten copies, line for line, of the infamous Zodiac killer's coded messages. But I knew one thing for certain. The originals of these particular letters had never been made public. Someone, or something, was replaying an old nightmare, but with a new script, a more twisted version, one that bore the marks of ritual, of a game, of a mockery of justice. The police called him the Ghost, but I knew he wasn't a ghost. He was the lingering hand of a bygone evil, writing a new chapter in the fresh blood of the innocent. And me, I was no longer a journalist. I was a witness. I was the last survivor, the only one he had allowed to live to tell this story. What I never told anyone, not even Kelly, was that before Anna disappeared, she had started acting strangely. She suffered from insomnia, spoke to walls, and filled her notebooks with dark, disturbing sketches. But the most terrifying thing was that she started talking about a friend named Thomas, a man only she could see. "Thomas says the grown-ups are always lying," she once whispered to me late one night. "He says you can only see the truth when you've hurt enough." I thought it was just the imaginary friend of a difficult 14-year-old, but now, looking back, I realized Thomas wasn't a figment of her imagination. He was the ghost. He had gotten to Anna early, when she was just a vulnerable child. In the diary pages I found after she was gone, pages the police dismissed as irrelevant, Anna had written, "Thomas showed me pictures, other kids just like me. They were taken to places with pretty names: the Recovery Center, the Academy for Personal Development, the Community Reintegration Facility. But they're really prisons, and no one knows they exist. Thomas says that one day I'll have to choose, either be a victim and die in silence, or become the judge and break that silence. I don't want to choose, but Thomas said, 'Not choosing is still a choice, Anna, and it's always the worst one.'" I promised myself I would never go back to St. Helena's, but we often break the promises we make to ourselves, especially when the pain isn't persuasive enough to make us stop. After that fateful night, I sent everything I found to one person, Kelly Thomas, a former FBI profiler who'd hunted serial killers for 2 decades before PTSD forced her into early retirement. When I called, she was silent for a long time. Then she said only one thing: "You're dealing with something that isn't a normal man, and I think he's waiting for your answer." But what Kelly didn't tell me, what I had to find out for myself, was that she had met the ghost before. In her carefully hidden personnel file, I discovered a case from 1998, the one that ended her career. A serial killer calling himself the Teacher had murdered 7 social workers and child psychologists in 3 months. Each victim was left with a handwritten letter, its contents identical to the letters the ghost sent to me. Kelly had gotten close to catching him, but in their final confrontation, the Teacher vanished without a trace. Before he disappeared, he left a message just for her. "You saw the darkness in the system, Agent Thomas, but you chose to look away. So, let me open your eyes for you." After that, Kelly started hallucinating. She saw children crying in dark corners. She heard knocking at midnight when no one was there. And in her dreams, she saw herself standing in a white room, stared at by hundreds of accusing children's eyes. We met in a grimy dive bar on the outskirts of the city. I gave her the copies of the letters, the tarot cards, and the photos from the box. She examined every detail. Her eyes didn't blink, her hands didn't shake. But I knew she was scared, because people like Kelly are only scared when there's a damn good reason. The way he writes, she mused, it's the style of someone with a messianic complex, someone who believes he has a divine mission to purify. He doesn't kill for pleasure or revenge, he kills to preach. Preach what? I asked. Kelly didn't answer right away. She pulled out one of the letters, pointing to a string of Morse code mixed with archaic Latin. This is the hidden message. It says, "You were born from lies, but you will die by the truth." But while Kelly was deciphering the code, I noticed something else. In the corner of the page, a string of numbers was written in ink so faint it was almost invisible. 47 degrees, 37 minutes, 14.0 seconds north, 122 degrees, 20 minutes, 15.0 seconds W. It was a GPS coordinate in Seattle. When I looked it up on Google Maps, my blood ran cold. It was the location of the Rainier Center for Developmental Psychology, the facility where Anna had been sent for treatment. "Kelly," I said, my voice trembling, "my sister wasn't the first victim. She was the product." Kelly looked at me, her eyes filled with a painful understanding. "Eli, there's something I didn't tell you. The teacher case in '98, he didn't just kill the social workers. He saved the children from the system. And then, those children vanished. The Bureau suspected he was training them to be instruments of his revenge." My world spun. So, Anna could be one of them. Or, Kelly hesitated, or she could be what the teacher was searching for all along. A child who had suffered enough to understand his mission, but was still pure enough to carry it out. We knew he was planning his next move, and he was doing it according to the logic of the tarot. The first victim was the Fool, the beginning. Then the Hermit, the lonely seeker of truth. If he was following the traditional order, the next card would be the Tower, the symbol of collapse. But Kelly discovered a detail we had missed. In the deck the ghost was using, the cards weren't in their traditional order. They were arranged according to a personal system, a system Kelly had seen once before. "This isn't a random game," she said. "It's a ritual. Each card corresponds to a stage in his purification process. The Fool isn't an idiot, it's the innocent betrayed by the system. The Hermit isn't a truth seeker, it's the one who's isolated for speaking the truth. And the Tower—" Kelly stopped, her face pale. "What is the Tower?" I pressed. "The Tower is the fall of the ivory tower. It's when the gatekeeper pays the price for his silence." 11 days later, a massive fire broke out at the city library downtown. The police initially thought it was an accident, but after extinguishing the flames, they found the body of a man, chained to a chair, his mouth stuffed with charred pages. A T was carved into his chest with a rusty knife, right over his sternum. And of course, a scorched tarot card, the Tower. The victim was Judge John M. Radley, a man who had acquitted a high-profile child abuse suspect. Someone had downloaded his files from the court's internal system, but no one knew who. But what sent a chill down my spine was that among the ashes, the police found one book not entirely burned. A copy of an article I had written about Judge Radley 3 years ago. An article my editor had killed for being politically sensitive. The ghost wasn't just a killer, he was a judge. And every one of his victims was someone who had escaped justice. But the chilling truth was, I had written an expose on that very judge 3 years ago, an article the paper had forced me to pull. Someone was watching me, using my work, my history, and even my pain to lead me somewhere. Kelly realized it before I did. He's not choosing victims at random. He's choosing people connected to you. You're the hands on his clock. But we discovered another detail. In Judge Radley's file was a note about his service on an advisory board for the Augusta Youth Rehabilitation Program, the exact program Anna had been sent to. He wasn't just a corrupt judge. He was one of the architects of the system that had remade my sister. "Ellie," Kelly said, her voice grave, "I think we're dealing with a network. The ghost isn't one person. He could be the face of an organization, one created from the victims of this very system." I didn't sleep for a week. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the cards. I heard the phantom sound of a typewriter clacking in my head. And then, one night, I got an email. No sender, no subject, just a short video file. A white room, a person tied to a chair. On the wall, written in what looked like blood, "Rewrite history with the silence of the victim." As the video ended, a woman's voice came through, a voice I never thought I'd hear again. "Eli, save me." I fell out of my chair, my back drenched in sweat. There was no need for analysis. It was Anna, my sister. Her voice was trembling, hoarse, and desperate. But the most haunting part wasn't the image or the sound. It was her eyes. The light was gone. There was nothing in them but an absolute void. As if her soul had fled her body, leaving only a shell controlled by someone else. But as I watched it again, I spotted a detail I'd missed. In the corner of the room was a wall clock, and the hands were pointing to exactly 3:17 a.m., the precise time Anna disappeared 10 years ago. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a message. We traced the video's metadata. It was uploaded from an IP address inside the Augusta Institute, a former behavioral psychology research facility funded by the military. It was shut down after a scandal involving conditioned response experiments on juvenile subjects. In other words, it was a place where they reprogrammed children's minds. Kelly gripped my arm. "We're not just up against a madman. We're up against an entire system built to cultivate evil." But as we dug deeper into the Institute's history, we uncovered an even more horrific truth. They didn't just conduct psychological experiments. They created a program called the Phoenix Protocol, a method to rebuild the personalities of traumatized children, turning them into perfect instruments for special purposes. According to a file Kelly unearthed from an FBI source, the Phoenix Protocol had 3 stages. Deconstruction, using strobe lights, high-intensity sound, and social isolation to completely break down the subject's psychological structure. Reconstruction, building a new personality through memory implantation and conditioned reflexes. Activation, planting subconscious triggers to allow for remote control of the subject. "Eli," Kelly said, her voice shaking, "if Anna went through the Phoenix Protocol, she might not be Anna anymore. She could be a programmed version." I went numb. I was beginning to understand why the ghost hadn't killed me, why he was leading me step by step, clue by clue. I wasn't the investigator. I was the audience. I was the centerpiece of his story. And if I was right, the next victim would be someone from my old world. Melissa, my ex-girlfriend, the one who helped me search for Anna before she broke under the weight of my parents' death. But before I could find Melissa, I went back to my childhood home. It had been sold, but I still had a key to the basement, where my father used to keep his work documents. In the dusty cellar, hiding under an old rug, I found a metal lockbox. Inside were papers my father never showed me. He wasn't just a lawyer. He was legal counsel for an organization called the Children's Future Foundation, the very foundation that funded the Augusta Institute and other re-education facilities. In the letters between my father and the foundation's board, I read words that made me want to vomit. We require subjects who have endured sufficient trauma to be pliable, yet remain intelligent enough for complex tasks. Anna Peterson fits this profile. The Peterson family must not be aware of the program. Create an incident that necessitates Anna's entry into the system organically. My father knew. He knew about Anna, and he stayed silent. He was complicit in the cover-up. After Anna disappeared, he was tormented by nightmares. In his private journal, he wrote, "I can't sleep. Every night I see Anna at the foot of my bed, staring at me with those hollow eyes. She says, 'You promised to protect me, but you sold me to the devil.' I have to tell Eli the truth, but how can I tell my son that I am the one who killed his sister?" My parents' death wasn't a car accident, as the police concluded. It was a suicide. And in the note the police hid from me, my father wrote, "Eli, if you are reading this, find Anna. Save her from the hell we put her in. You will hate me for what I have done, but do not hate Anna. She is just a child who lost her way home. This nightmare, it never stopped. It just changed its shape, and now it was staring right at me. I always thought nightmares were things that happened when you closed your eyes. The truth is, the worst nightmares happen when you are wide awake, completely lucid, and realize you have lost control of reality." Melissa disappeared 3 days after I received Anna's video. She lived a simple, quiet life, avoiding social media, no close friends, no new lovers. She had chosen to live like a ghost. And then she vanished just like Anna had a decade before, without a trace, without a warning. But this time was different. I got a call right before she disappeared. Not from the ghost, from Melissa herself. "Eli," her voice trembled, "someone is watching me. They know about us. They know about Anna." "Melissa, get to my place now," I urged. "No, I can't. They'll follow me. Eli, there's something I have to tell you about the night Anna disappeared." "What is it?" I saw her get into a black van. I saw it, and I did nothing. I was too scared. And the driver, he looked right at me. He knew I saw, and he let me go." The line went dead, and that was the last time I ever heard Melissa's voice. I knew this was the ghost's next message. He was peeling back my layers, one by one, breaking every bone of memory until I had nothing left to hold on to. But he forgot one thing. The most dangerous men are the ones with nothing left to lose. I received an address, not by mail, not by email. It came from Kelly. She'd found it embedded in the video's metadata, hidden behind negative frames. The address led to a derelict warehouse in the industrial park south of Augusta, a place once used to store military supplies during the Gulf War, a place no one remembered existed. Before we left, Kelly gave me a small device, a recorder disguised as a button for my shirt. "Whatever happens in there," she said, "we need a record. This story needs to be told with the whole truth." Kelly also told me one last thing about her past. She wasn't just a former FBI agent. She was a survivor of a childhood psychological program, a smaller-scale version of the Phoenix Protocol. "They tried to erase my memories," she said, "but they weren't entirely successful. Fragments remain. It's why I can understand how the ghost thinks, because a part of me is just like him." When I finally ripped the tape from Melissa's mouth, the first thing she said wasn't, "Help me," or "I'm scared." It was, "Eli, you have to listen to me. The night Anna disappeared, I lied to you." My hands froze. What? I didn't just see her get in the van. I spoke to the driver beforehand. He came to me a week before she was taken. He said he knew about your family, about your father's involvement, and he gave me a choice. Kelly and I stared at her. Melissa continued, her voice breaking. He said, "You can save Anna by staying silent for one night, or you can save Eli by telling the truth right now and letting Anna die. I chose to save you, Eli. I thought she'd be okay. I thought they'd just take her for a little while and bring her back." Melissa began to convulse. Kelly screamed, "She's wired with an automatic shock device." I frantically tore at the remaining wires, but it was too late. The screen flashed. A final line of text appeared. "Your time is up. Now comes the judgment." But this time, there was no explosion. Instead, the lights went out. A profound silence fell, and in the darkness, I heard footsteps, slow, measured, the death march of a ghost. The lights snapped back on, and I saw them. Anna stood to the left. The ghost stood to the right. Between them was a small table holding a single gun and a letter. "Hello, brother," Anna said, her voice flat. "It's good to finally see you again." The ghost stepped forward, removing his mask. His face, I'd seen it before, in an old photograph from my father's files. It was Dr. Thomas Brennan, the founder of the Phoenix Protocol. "Hello, Eli," he said. "We've been waiting for you." "Why?" I choked out. "Why, Anna?" Dr. Brennan smiled, a cold, clinical smile. "Because Anna was perfect. She carried enough pain to understand our mission, but just enough love left to never want to hurt you. She is my final masterpiece." Anna stepped closer. "I'm sorry about Melissa, brother, but she had to pay for her silence, just like Dad paid, just like you will have to pay." "You're not Anna anymore," I whispered. "No," she agreed. "Anna died a long time ago, in that white room, under those flashing lights. I'm just what was left after she was gone." Dr. Brennan pointed to the gun on the table. "You have two choices, Eli. You can kill me, the man who created all of this, or you can kill Anna, the woman who has become the thing you fear most. But before you decide," Anna said, "read this letter." I opened it. It was from the real Anna, 14-year-old Anna, written in the days before she was taken. "Dearest Eli, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it home. I know you'll blame yourself. Please don't. None of this is your fault. I know about Mom and Dad. I know what they did. I overheard Dad on the phone last night. He was crying. He said, 'We have no choice. If it's not Anna, they'll take them both.' Eli, they chose me instead of you. And I'm okay with that, because I can't imagine a world without you in it. But I need to ask you one thing. If I'm not me anymore, If I become something terrible, please stop me. Don't let me hurt anyone else. I love you, big brother, no matter what I become. You're Anna. Tears streamed down my face. Kelly placed a hand on my shoulder. Melissa, still tied up, looked at me with infinite pity. Now you understand, Anna said. I wasn't a victim. I was a volunteer. I chose death so you could live. And now I choose to be the judge, so what happened to me never happens to anyone else. I picked up the gun. My hand shook. Dr. Brennan stood like a statue. Anna watched me with eyes that no longer belonged to my sister. Shoot, Dr. Brennan said. Kill me and save Anna, or kill Anna and save the world from what she will become. Or, Anna said softly, you can put the gun down, go home, forget all of this, live your life, and let me continue my work. I looked at Kelly. She gave a slight nod, as if to say, your call. I looked at Melissa. She was crying silently. I looked at Anna. She smiled, the last smile I recognized as my sister's. And I lowered the gun. You died a long time ago, I said, and I can't kill someone who's already dead. Anna nodded. Thank you for understanding. Excellent. Then we're done. You're free to go, Eli, as long as you never tell this story. No, I said. I will tell it. I'll tell the whole world about Anna, about you, about everything that happened. Then you will die, Dr. Brennan said. Maybe, I replied, but the story will live. Epilogue. The Storyteller. I walked out of that warehouse the next morning. Kelly, Melissa, and I stepped into the gray light of dawn. No one followed us. No police, no gunfire, just silence. 3 months later, I published this book. No publishing house would touch it. I had to self-publish. Most people who read it think it's a work of horror fiction. Some people believe. A very small few. Kelly went back to the FBI, but with a new mission, investigating youth rehabilitation facilities across the country. She told me there are hundreds of other Annas out there, maybe thousands. Melissa moved to California, changed her name, and started a new life. She sent me a single postcard. It just said, I'm sorry for everything. I hope Anna can forgive us. And me? I keep writing. Every night I sit at my desk and I type. I tell the stories of missing children, of secret treatment facilities, of families broken by silence. And sometimes, on moonless nights, I receive an envelope with no return address. Inside is always a single tarot card and one line. There are more stories that need to be told. I don't know if Anna, or what Anna has become, is still out there. I don't know if other Dr. Brennans are continuing their work. I only know one thing. This story isn't over. It may never be, but at least now it's being told. And maybe that's the only thing I can still do for Anna, for all the other Annas out there. In my dreams, I still see her. Not the Anna of today, cold, distant, and full of hate, but the 10-year-old Anna, sitting on a tree branch, grinning, asking me, what do you think is more important, the truth or happiness? And now, finally, I have the answer. The truth, Anna, always the truth, no matter how much it hurts. And I hope, wherever she is, she can hear me.